Good evening and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show on a positive Sunday evening. It's a Talktown special, and the title that we've got this week from Stephen Downs is Bojan and Dion, the perfect duo as Town play Plymouth off the pitch. Any more P's you could have got in there for me, Steve? Appreciate that one.
I tried.
You tried. I thought you might have just gone with Super Dion Charles this week, but what a positive week it has been for Huddersfield Town. Joined tonight, Oliver Thompson. How are we, my friend?
Very well. It's all good down south.
Well, there's down south as where you are, isn't there?
currently summertime, but it's currently wet and windy outside. So what a perfect time to do a podcast.
Yeah, absolutely perfect time. And Steve, how are you, mate? You good? Nice weekend, nice week?
Yeah, good, mate. I've had a fresh trim for today. Feeling the positive vibes from yesterday. So ready to head into a week of chill and hopefully chill work as well. But yeah, it's been a good Sunday after a very, very pleasing Saturday.
Good man. That is what we like to hear. And you are looking fresh. I think Oliver might have had a fresh trim as well. It looks like he might have done, but I think we're all having fresh trims this week. Oliver, we had a fresh trim,
I think the wind blew it off. Yeah, no, I decided I needed to get it. I needed to get rid of it somehow. It was too long, my hair. So yeah, I have a bit of trim.
So we've all had fresh trims, and maybe it's a fresh start for Huddersfield Town.
I like that. Good sideways.
I like that. That's good. That's really good.
Yeah, I'm glad you appreciate that, Oliver. Look, so 2 games last week. Well, this week, obviously. First of all, Mansfield. Okay, it's the trophy that it's one of them. It's another cup game. Is it too many? But I thought the lineup that went out, Oliver, was quite a strong one, and you've been quite positive over the last few weeks. You're saying things can turn around, and they're going to get positive results. And you saw the lineup against Mansfield. I'm going to go through it in a second. Once I eventually get it up on my screen, because I should have already had that done anyway. But Oliver, you were feeling positive anyway, and then it was a positive result and a decent performance against Mansfield.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we needed, really, wasn't it? You mentioned it is a cup game, but we needed a little bit of positivity going into our priority game against Plymouth. And yeah, like I say, we managed to get through. And don't forget, Mansfield are around our area in League One anyway, in terms of positioning. So again, it was a good little result, and we're through to the next knockout stages. So, I mean, imagine if we were sat here now talking about Huddersfield not in the knockout stages. That would have been pretty dire. But like I say, yeah, good result and something that's needed, especially considering there was a bit of negativity going around the club as well. So yes, a result that was needed.
Yeah, and Mansfield are no slouchers. They've got a really good setup, really good system of play. With Nigel Clough managing them, I think they're actually a pretty decent side, and especially with the budget that they've got compared to others, they are doing extremely well. So this was your lineup against Mansfield. We had Goodman in goal, Sorensen ruined the 2 full-backs, Balker, Feeney at the back. We had Vost, Wiles, Harness, Ashia in midfield, and Dion Charles and Taylor up front. Before we go on to Dion Charles, I'm going to come on to both of you about that, okay? I am going to come on to both of you. Steve, that lineup, obviously, Town, a lot of injuries at the moment. We know that. There is quite a lot of injuries, but that's strong. That's strong.
Yeah, I think it needed to be strong. We did say going into these set of fixtures that Mansfield isn't the one that we're most bothered about. It was more about the Plymouth game. However, I think he did need to go strong, and he did, and the lads produced on the pitch. But I was happy with the lineup. It was great to see Balker back. I think he does make a difference to us, as I'm sure we'll come on to, later in the podcast. Josh Feeney's deserved to carry on in the side. We knew there was going to be a change in net anyway, because Grant had sort of hinted at that, really. And yeah, I think we sort of expected maybe Dion Charles to play. I think we all sort of expected maybe Radulovic not to start because of his performance in the previous picture. So I was really pleased with the lineup. Cam Ashley deserved to start, and so did young Dan Vost as well. Great talent.
And it just seemed to me, Steve, I know you watched the whole game, that they seem to have a bit of a spring in the step. They seem to dominate just a little bit more than they had done over previous games. They were finding nice passes. They were a good tempo to play. And I mean, look, you've heard me say it on here before, Steve, and when I've coached, sometimes you've got to create your own look. But how do you do that? How do you create your own look? But it's by being the better side, by performing well, higher tempos in the opposition faces. And sometimes that bit of hard work might just get you a deflection and might just get you your first goal for the club.
Yeah, I mean, there seemed to be a bit of a tempo difference in how we were playing, like getting in Mansfield's faces. I know the start of the game was a bit scrappy and that, but when we got hold of it and we really got hold of the ball and passed it properly, and there wasn't this too much passing around at the back, which we'd seen in previous fixtures, this slow build-up. It seemed to be a bit more get it into the forward players' feet, such as Asher, such as Charles, and Joe Taylor, can run in behind. So for me, it was a lot better in terms of being positive on the ball and off the ball as well, getting into Mansfield's faces, being more positive and forward-thinking in midfield, not as defensively, sort of like that defensive block that we've talked about that's been too far back. The midfield pushed up 10, 15 yards. So I was really pleased with how we sort of began the sort of bit where we controlled the first half. And then, for Dion to get that goal, I always go back to a quote that Warnock once said years and years back, I think when he was Sheffield United manager. I'm not really bothered how the ball goes in. It could go off I won't say the exact term that he said, but his backside, let's say. It doesn't really matter, does it? As long as it goes in, and that could be the start of a striker's confidence boost. And listen, like Dion has absolutely no idea where that ball's hit him and gone in, but I'm not really bothered. He was in the box, he was in the position to score, and the ball went in the back of the net, and there was no... All right, the crowd, I'm sure we can mention the crowd, lowest in town's history. There was reasons for that. But all 900, not all 900, probably about 850 of them, were delighted in the stadium, and the rest of the people at home were delighted for Dion Charles. Nobody has not wanted the lad to score. So when the goal went in, I was chuffed for him.
Yeah, I think we all were. And Oliver, as Steve says, don't matter how it goes in, does it? And I think we've seen it into the next game, like we saw yesterday's confidence, but we'll touch on that in a little bit. Doesn't matter how they go in, that has to be a massive weight off his shoulders.
Well, especially not just for him, but for the team as well. I mean, it was the 4th minute or something that it went in, or 3rd minute. So that already psychologically would have, a bit more of a confidence booster, early on. And we got a second goal just before half time. And for one of the first times this season, we went into the break leading, you know what I mean, rather than having to reassert control. I mean, we had a nervy game where the Mansfield managed to fight back and get the extra, the goal back. But yeah, I mean, good confidence boost for Huddersfield. And the fact that we were able to consolidate that, I mean, that was a good, very positive to take away from the Mansfield game in particular. But yeah, it's just the fact that we got that early goal straight away in the inside 4 minutes gave us that bit of confidence boost going forward. So it was good. It was a good result.
And also, Oliver, Feeney on the score sheet. I think a well-deserved goal for Josh Feeney, who, I mean, for me, quite quietly has been performing superbly, despite the fact there's been obviously losses. He seems to have been hitting the 7 mark for me each week, which is, again, if you're talking about ratings, you want 8s, you want 9s. But if you can hit 7 consecutively, for me, in a team that's losing, you're showing something. That obviously, that's my opinion. But I think it was a deserved goal, right?
Absolutely. I mean, we were, I don't know if you've got the statistics up to kind of help me out here, but in terms of the result, in terms of the early first half results, we were kind of on top of them from what I saw from the highlights himself. In terms of we got we had the possession, and like I said, just when we had that 1-0 at the first 4 minutes, Josh Feeney managing to get that second goal going in, it just gave us that psychological boost, and which is what we needed, especially when, as Steve says, lowest crowd. It was kind of a bit of a nervy atmosphere, I can imagine. We're on the back of quite a few consecutive losses. Going into the break, leading 2-0 is good. And all for Josh Feeney and Dion Charles, who manages now. Because people were, I don't know, I saw some comments on social media laughing about him starting, and then now he's proving them wrong. And like I say, he's gone to, I'm sure we'll touch up on Plymouth in a minute, but he's gone to Plymouth and done quite well. So,
yeah, he certainly has. Look, I've got comments in on the comments. We've got Michael, Mark, Dale. I've put some comments in there. I'm going to put your comments up very, very shortly. We're just going to have a bit more of a roundup of this Mansfield game as well. So thank you for them. And Cheesy says, Steve, have you got the babyface filter on? So babyface Steve. Second half.
I do look about 18. I do look about 18 when I've had the beard off. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah, you do look a lot younger. Second half, okay, Town do concede, but it was a case of, did it really matter too much? Yes, they scored very early, made a bit more of a game, but Town was still creating a lot of chances, even the first half and then the second half. And then Dion Charles, I mean, even if that first goal wouldn't have been his, he certainly took the confidence from it because he had a couple more chances. And then what a great header as well. And again, another deserved goal. We're talking to Oliver about Feeney deserving his goal for the hard work and performances that he's been putting in.
Yeah.
And then Dion Charles goes and does it again himself. So if there was any doubt in the first one, that one certainly was his for the second.
Oh, absolutely. Just before that, to touch on Josh Feeney, I think you're right, Kane. He has been a 7 out of 10 most fixtures. There's been a few hitting errors here. We can't say he's been perfect because of some of the goals that we have conceded. However, I do believe he has been our best defender this season so far. Before Watmore's injury, at least, and I think the kid's got talent. And it's just a shame that we're probably not going to be able to afford to buy him permanently because I would like us to try and do that. But yeah, I think he's got a big future in the game. For Dion, firstly, I have to say well done to Ryan Ledson for putting the ball in. He could have slipped it down the side for a cross, but he didn't. He had the foresight to put it in. I've been very not harsh on Ledson. I think I've been rightly critical of him, but I would say that he put the right ball in. And yeah, that's a Dion Charles goal. Look at his highlights when he's played for Bolton. He's scored them types of goals for them over the years. Powerful header, and nobody was stopping it. And whilst the first one, we're not really bothered where it come off, the second one shows his quality in the box, and that will have just boosted his his confidence up even more. And I thought when Mansfield scored, I thought, hey, up here we go. It's we don't want this to rock the boat, as it were. But Town, got back hold of the game, started to control it again quite soon after that. We probably had about a rocky 10 minutes. But I think Mansfield, they've made some changes themselves. They had to win the fixture and hope that, was it Harrogate lost, so they were even more up against it than we were. And yeah, I think when we scored the third, it kind of had the fixture done and dusted, really. So a really positive evening. Hardly anybody saw it, but like I said, there was reasons for that. But you've got to give credit where credit's due. Grant changed the system. He changed the style. He all right, might have been forced into it, but it showed that he's learned a little bit. And what pleased me even more, I know we're going to come on to it, but it pleased me. He took that learning forward into the Plymouth game from what we did well in the Mansfield game, even though he had different personnel or slightly different personnel on the field, which was really positive. That was the biggest thing for me. And of course, nobody got injured.
Yeah, that's huge. That is huge news out of that one. So, Steve, how far can Town go in this competition? Because I know, we all have a laugh about the competition, and that we think it's a little bit pointless. And I mean, you talk about the attendance. I think that tells you a lot about the competition itself. Yes, it also talks about maybe recent form, but I think mainly tells you about the competition, because if you allow season ticket holders into it, you get at least 8,000 easily. Easily get at least.
Oh, I'm not sure about that. I'm not sure about 8,000, but you get more than 937. Yeah, I think for me, you are right. It is a combination of the two. I think. Listen, we didn't get. Was it a 1,500 against Barnsley, 1,400, something like that last year? Then it was 1,200 against Man United. Newcastle's under 21s. So the crowds have always been low because of the competition, and that's not just at Town, by the way. That's at every club in this damn thing. However, your question is how far we can go. Look, we should be wanting to win this competition. You know, Peterborough United, was it Peterborough who I think got promoted or something anyway on the back of it, or Sunderland. I think it was Sunderland that got promoted and then went to the final and won it in the same year. They showed what can be done, and Peterborough's won it in the past, and other teams have. I know Lincoln went close in it one year as well. So listen, we should be trying to win this competition, even if many of us don't care about it, because what does your favourite word and my favourite word in confidence? Winning breeds confidence. So if the players go and win a trophy, I'm not really bothered what it is. You know, we once won the Yorkshire Electricity Trophy back in 1993. Who cares? But it's still a trophy, isn't it? It's still in the cabinet. It's still, a bit of silverware for the players and for the grant to be proud of. So I don't know when the draw is. You might know better than me, Kane. I haven't particularly looked when the draw is, and I don't know who we can get, because I don't know if it's just a free for all now. But let's hope we get somebody who we can beat to go through to the next round.
Yeah, I think the draw's next couple of weeks, Steve, and it still stays as the northern section until the final. It's the north versus south, essentially.
Oh, does it?
In this one, yeah. My kind of point with the attendance was, and I've said this before, and I'll say it again, it's just a waste of money. When you get an attendance like less than 1,000 people in the stadium, it's going to cost you more to open up the stadium.
Absolutely.
And your players, because they'll all get an appearance bonus for appearing in the game, and there's barely anybody bonus. There. Yeah, there's barely anybody there. And that's, for me, that's nothing against the club or anything like that. That's just the competition. No. That's just no one wants to be there. So if you let season ticket holders in there, you're going to get more people there. So it's going to be a little bit worth more you are. But anyway, that's on to something.
I agree. I agree with you. By the way, I think it should be in with the season tickets, but I don't know whether that's a policy thing that the club have to charge for the game. I don't know how it works with the EFL, to be quite honest, or the FA, or whoever runs it. I think it's the EFL that run it. I also, and this is just a personal view of my own, instead of the under-21 sides, I would have the top 10 of the National League in it. I think you'd get far more competitive fixtures. But again, that's just my view, and probably a different discussion for another day, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it probably is the league that forces clubs to charge people into them games. I know from past experience in non-league that when it's a cup competition, season tickets aren't valid. You have to do pay on the day. Oliver, just quickly before we move on, obviously Town winning that one 3-1. Again, this is a competition now that, I mean, it was a competition anyway that Town should be looking at winning, but it's a realistic opportunity.
Yeah, I mean, our highest finish, I was just having a quick research, is in runners-up in 1993. So hopefully we can do one better this year and maybe win it. But no, what Steve's point was right in terms of the fact that it allowed Lee Grant to change his side, or change the lineup, try some new players like Voster, etc., and see how they mould in a competitive environment before the league game, which was, again, a lot more essential. and for Huddersfield Town. So, this football league trophy, I think, is quite important for us to, again, to be able to try some players, try new systems out without massive consequences, if that makes sense. Because again, our priority is, and this is my view, but the priority is to get out of League One and get into the Championship. And if we can use the Football League trophy as a sort of a experimental trial, which is what a lot of teams and a lot of clubs do, and it's all good for that. But I mean, Steve made a good point there. I think, but using it's not Vanarama anymore, is it? But the National League, that could be potential instead of using the under 21s. But yeah, I'm sure that's a conversation for another day. But yeah.
Yes, spot on, Oliver. Look, I've got a couple of comments to put on, as well as a few more to go through that have been put on earlier. Terry930 says, if we get a team starting with B in the Mickey Mouse Cup, we're out. Anyway, Terry930, where's the positivity? Come on, we've just had 2 wins this week. And Dale Miller says, if we finish top, then we have a home draw and away if Harrogate finish top, but it is a northern draw. So thank you for confirming that one, Dale. Okay, a couple more comments putting in. Obviously, Cheesy taking the mick out of you again, still talking about paper round, Steve, and how tough that one might have been. Mark, Michael, Dale, I've got yours as well, but I do want to come up. In fact, actually, let's go through them now. Okay, so Michael says, good Town performance against a poor Plymouth team. Grant learns to change tactics, not getting carried away, but we've got tough matches against Mansfield, Luton, Wimbledon and Cardiff to come. Mark also says, I like the change in formation with Harness pulling the strings and the ball sticking up front with the 2 up there. Balkan makes a massive difference by bringing the ball out from the back, putting us on the front foot. 3 great comments there, so thank you very much for them. Make sure you keep getting them comments in. But now this is the main event, isn't it? This is the main event. Huddersfield Town 3, Plymouth Argyle 1. And Steve, what a first half that was. I thought that was the best I've seen Town play all season in that first half. I thought they were absolutely fantastic. What did you make of it?
Yeah, I mean, firstly, this is the main event, Kane. This is what you have to say. This show tonight is the main event, but
absolutely is, mate. Always is. Always is on a Sunday.
But no, you are right. I mean, apart from Leyton Orient, I would say that's the best Town have played all season. We took the game to Plymouth. They looked really poor, but we looked good. You have to say that. As bad as Plymouth were, we looked good. I thought that we looked solid at the back. I really like the fact Miller was back. I really like him as a player. I think he adds so much to us. Still not convinced that they are the right way round, but there we are. I think that will always be you'll either be one or the other. To whether Miller and Ruskin should be different the other way around. But I was glad that he's back in the team. He had so much quality to us. Great to see more of a 2 up front, little and large. Back in the old days, with Bojan being the big target man, and to be fair, he held it up really well. He got defenders sort of like twisting and turning. I thought his hold-up play was magnificent, particularly in that first half. And Charles worked his backside off alongside him. Remind me a lot of a Lee Novak type performance for Dion Charles, the way that he worked and ran and harried defenders. And, there was one moment where he got hold of the ball, and we've never really seen it from him in a Town shirt. And he actually won a tackle. And I thought, you know what? Well played, Dion, because you wanted that ball more than that defender did, and we haven't seen that from him. I'm not convinced about Marcus Harness in the centre mid position, if I'm honest. But if that was one negative to take out the whole day, and I'm not saying Harness played badly. Again, I've been quite critical of the lad, but he had a decent game. I'm just not convinced that that's his position. However, he probably added, a bit of experience in there, guided us around the pitch, which was fair enough. And yeah, I just thought we looked a cohesive unit. We deserved the goal. We had the pressure that we put on that Plymouth back line for the 15 minutes before we got the goal was immense. I mean, Feeney should have scored a header. Bojan definitely should have scored a header. We had about 6 corners in about 10 minutes. It was a lot like the Bradford City performance. The difference between that performance and this performance is we didn't crumble after 20 minutes. We carried on and we really went after them. We got the goal I thought, at the perfect time, which took us into half time. And what I really liked about the goal is look at the intricacy of the passing. You know, we've got people involved in that move, and they all are where they should be. And Charles, when he ran into the box, you know, he could have easily slashed the shot across the goal. He could have missed. But he didn't. He calmly saw Bojan at the other side, and he went, you know what? My mate's in a better position. I'm going to pass it to him. And Bojan, he scored an easier goal in his career. And I love the fact when he celebrated, somebody said on one of the fans' forums, whenever he scores a lad, he has like 4 different celebrations that he all tries to get in one go. And I don't think that just pick one, Bojan. We'll be happy with one. You don't need to do 4.
Yeah, I mean, that the first one of my points that I really enjoyed in my commentary, Steve, was I think it was within maybe the first 4 minutes, Dion Charles was pressing and he was putting Plymouth down their back left-hand side, just on the edge of the area. And he'd gone up and Bojan had come sprinting across, forcing, I think it was Ross at the time, who was playing the middle of that back 3 for Plymouth. He had to kick it out of play because Bojan had come across. Charles had done the work. And I was saying in my commentary, I was like, that's what everyone was wanted to see for quite some time. I'm going to touch on the goal as well, because it takes some time. That I thought Hazard had made some fantastic saves for Plymouth, by the way, in the goal. Although I'm going to come on to you very shortly. Made some fantastic saves throughout that first half. You mentioned Feeney, Bojan beforehand. Funnily enough, when the goal came about, Steve, it had gone down the left-hand side first. And Town had brought it back up to the halfway line. And I heard a few murmurs. And then it had gone down to the right to Sorensen. Wiles gets it on the half turn. As you mentioned, play to Dion Charles. Across to Bojan, Town 1-0 up. And Oliver, I don't know if you saw this, but when Bojan scored, he pointed straight at Dion Charles and tried to get everyone to go to him. And I think that spoke a lot of volumes to me. That told me that they are seeing what a hard time Dion has had, and they're like, look what he's just done. He's created that. He's done that, and he's done that for me. Let's make sure we give him that praise as well.
I mean, absolutely. It seems like a positive, positive working relationship. And again, Dion Charles did get a goal in the game as well. So, I mean, like I say, Steve just kind of touched up on the whole first half. I was going to mention a lot there, but he kind of covered it. I think we all agree.
No, go for it. Go for it, Oliver.
Go for it, Oliver.
You want to know?
No, I don't want to repeat exactly the same, but it was similar. You know, we're watching from the highlights in particular. It was quite. It just showed Huddersfield were on top. Although I believe the possession. But in terms of it just seemed that Huddersfield had the chances, were able to create, and again that the timing of that goal just before half time would have, going into the dressing room just before half time would have, the confidence would have been sky high going, and then we managed to get the result in the second half, and Cameron Aisha as well, but I'm sure we'll mention that later. But yeah, I mean, we needed that. It feels like there's a lot of pressure. I think we mentioned it last time. There was a lot of pressure that's just kind of been released a little bit from this result, and even in that first half. And yeah, congratulations to Bojan, who manages to get that goal in the first half. So yeah, it did seem there was a lot more positivity in the first half.
Yeah, so I'm just going to touch on the shape, because Mark mentioned earlier about like the formation with Harness pulling the string. Steve, you weren't too sure about that one. And Dale made a comment about Balker making a massive difference. So your starting lineup, Goodwin started in goal. You had Ruskin and Sorensen, 2 fullbacks, Feeney and Balker. And then it was kind of like, for me, a weird 4-4-2. You had Ledson and Harness in the middle. Wiles was out wide right, but then crept in. Miller was on the left, and they had Charles and Radulovic up top, but one of them was dropping in at times defensively. And it was a bit of a change. I personally thought Harness did pretty well in the middle of the park, especially in the first half. Wanted to get on the ball, wanted to get it moving. Yeah, and as Dale says, and look, I am a massive fan of Radinho Balca. If he is fit, he is the best defender in that league. And if not, he can go in the Championship and easily do a job. And how good was it, Oliver, to see Radinho Balca in the starting 11 for 2 games in a row? Obviously, he came off after 60, which is fine. He's going to go to the World Cups now, qualifiers, and hopefully keep that fitness going. But for someone who's had so many injury problems, to see him in 2 games in a row and 2 performances like that, that's a massive buzz. Not just for him, but for the squad and for the fans to see it.
Well, absolutely. I mean, let's just hope he keeps it up. I mean, yeah, I do agree. I am a big fan, and I do think he would do quite well in the Championship. And this is, again, some of the calibers of players that we have at Huddersfield that should be able to work together. And like I say, it could be his chance now to be able to cement that position in Huddersfield's defensive line. But I also wanted to kind of touch up on Goodman being the number 1 jersey. We expected it at Mansfield. I didn't. That was a big surprise when I saw the goalkeeper position switch from Nichols. I don't know. I'd say, has Nichols lost his shirt now, or is it a case of just switching it around for 1 game? I didn't think Nichols was doing too badly.
No, well, I thought Nichols had been playing very, very well recently as well. Got lots of shot stopping, but Lee Grant in his press conference afterward mentioned about that he's needed to change things to try and find a result, and he's changed a lot of things in the Mansfield game, and so he kept it basically then with them changes for the Plymouth game. And Steve, is that an understandable thing to do? Are you behind that change?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit surprised, like Oliver was. However, listen, it's worked, hasn't it? So let's not argue with him. It's worked. We've got to win a game. So I think the different goalkeepers out there. Lee Nichols is a very, very steady pair of hands being an experienced head. He gets yellow cards for fun at the end of games when you're leading, needing to waste time. Comes for the ball, very strong minded and willed. And I think the difference with Goodman is he can set us off on attacks quicker, probably got a better distribution in terms of not just throwing but kicking as well with his feet. So they're very different keepers. I think you can use them differently. We're in a very lucky position that we've got both of them, as I agree with Grant, probably number 1s. And if Chapman was fit, Chapman's a good goalkeeper in reserve as well. So we're quite blessed in the goalkeeping department. Going back to Balca though, for me, I agree, Kane. He's the best defender in this league when fit by a mile. Not just defensively, but what he can do with the football. I mean, the lad literally could play in centre midfield for me. Centre defensive midfield. He's that good on the ball. He strides forward, fantastic. He can see where to play a pass into the gaps. His awareness of the football pitch and painting pictures, as Grant would say, I think is really, really good at a good level. It's just keeping him fit. And listen, it's not like he's had the same sort of injury like Reece Healy's had. His injuries have been here sort of everywhere, haven't they, really? From breaking his ankle to having a leg problem to having an hamstring problem. And, let's hope that's all behind him now and he can get in a run of games, because with him and Josh Feeney at the back, who are both good on the ball, I think we've got a great pair in there. And listen, I like Jack Watmore. I think he adds a lot of experience, and he's a tough tackling, no-nonsense defender. I was quite a big advocate of Joe Lowe at the beginning of the season. because of what we saw last year. I don't think Joe's probably performed as well as what he'd have hoped for. And because of injuries and lack of form, Rodinho's got his chance, hasn't he? And he's taking it at the moment in these 2 games. I also thought it was quite interesting. I don't know if the players do the press conference, Kane. I can't remember. But on Radio Leeds, he said to Oggy that he had to put his hand up and say to come off because he was getting cramp. And for me, although he wanted to carry on and he said he wanted to continue, he thought it would be best for the team that he come off. And for me, that shows great maturity and an understanding of his own body and the fact that, listen, Sean Rowan's on the bench. He's ready to come on. Rodinho probably has big trust in him as well. And so does Grant. Chuck him in there. We know he can do a job. I'll come off. I've done my bit and I'll give my body a rest to make sure that I don't overdo it. And for me, that was perfect play from him.
Well, yeah, obviously, Steve, when you've played and stuff like that and you know you can't do any more, you leave yourself risking going, I might make a mistake here. I might not be able to keep up with somebody.
Yeah.
And as you say, they're mature enough to go, I need to come off. I think, it's quality player. And Mark says, I like Balker for his ability on the ball. Do you think he's good in the air defending the box? I think he's an absolute machine. I think he'll take anyone with him. And we've seen that. His quickness, his pace to get back, his strength to hold people off the ball, up in the air. He's not the tallest, but he'll go and jump through, he'll win it. And okay, right. So we've spoken a little bit about the shape, the formation, plays that have come in, etc., etc. Second half, though, Town, I thought Plymouth came out a little bit better in the second half, as expected, but Town still managed to get 2 goals. Dion Charles with another goal this week and his second assist of the game, Oliver.
Yeah, well, amazing. We managed to kill it off. I mean, we have gone into the break before leading, haven't we? And then, but yeah, it just seemed like Huddersfield, rather than on the attack all the time, were able to absorb that pressure and hit with the pace on the wings itself. But, you know, the most important thing is we were creating them chances. We were creating them opportunities that we mentioned earlier, you know, and the fact that we were able to move the ball quickly. It seemed like, I don't know, I didn't watch the whole game, but it seemed like Plymouth were given a lot more space than some other opponents we've had. So we were able to play in them gaps and find them spaces. But yeah, I mean, it just seemed Plymouth had been a bit more passive than some of the clubs that I've seen that we played against. So yeah, Huddersfield were able to exploit that and manage to get the 2 goals in the second half to finish the game off. So really good.
And the thing is that for Dion Charles, Oliver, his goal was a case of it was the amount of corners that Plymouth had conceded throughout the game. There was bound to be 1 or 2 corners where they don't deal with it, and Dion pops up at the right place at the right time, back stick, and all he has to do is just tap it in, and that's all he did.
Well, exactly. He found his space, didn't he? And that's what I was saying. Like, the more opportunities, at least the ball was in Plymouth's half than in Huddersfield half, and the fact that we're able to exploit that. And again, this is going to be so much confidence for Dion Charles as well going into the next game. You know, 2 goals in 2 games, pretty decent moving forward. And that's what we've needed, haven't we? We've needed someone to be able to score the goals, to be able to be a 20-goal a season goal scorer. And if he's getting the confidence and the boost, as you mentioned, from his teammates, with the assist he's got in the first half, then I'm all for it. It's all good.
As he said, 2 goals, 2 games, Oliver. Come on now. Don't do him out of a deflection goal. Three goals in 2 games.
3.
Come on, and 2 assists in 2 games. That's some return for Super Dion Charles, as some fans.
Super Dion.
Yeah, after this week, anyway. Mentioned Steve, he got 2 assists. The second one coming for Kamashi, who came on. I don't know if you saw his retweet on TikTok during the week, but he's certainly wanting to put himself forward to be in the starting lineup, and comes on, shows a lot of energy, a lot of pace, and it's becoming a bit of a trademark now, isn't it? To put it onto his right foot and curl it into the far corner.
Yeah, I unfortunately, Kane, I didn't. So you'll have to. You've got one up on me there, mate. I'm not the biggest follower of Cam Asher on. Is it TikTok? He said or Twitter, whichever. Yeah, I think. Listen, Dion made the right pass. We've clearly seen that Cam Asher is talent. I mean, if you don't think he is, I mean, I don't know what else the lad's supposed to do. You know, when he's getting his chance, he's getting on the ball, he's creating chances, creating that bit of chaos that defenders hate. They hate people running at them, particularly on diagonal lines where they can cut in and then chop it onto the right foot and take them on the outside. And he's got that down to a T, seemingly. I mean, he loves that curling. I call it the Josh Karoma goal, to be honest, because Josh Karoma was always very good at doing it. The difference with Cam Asher is he actually wants to take people on the outside as well. He don't mind doing that, where Josh was always a bit scared of doing that. Now, at Town, we have this great, we've done it over many years, probably even going back to the 1960s, of coaching these things out of Town players. Let's not do that. Let's just harness his ability, let him do what he wants to do, as long as he's not making bad mistakes, which he isn't, even in his tracking back's very good, actually, for a young player, I think. And he seems to make right decisions. You know, he uses his body very well. He's got, for me, I tell you what, I thought about this when I came back from the game. He's got the strength of a Sean Scannell, because Scans was always very strong on the ball. And he's got the personality of a Karoma to do what he wants to do in whipping the ball in. So he's got the perfect sort of like worlds of two ex-Town players there. And the finish is great. I don't think that's his best goal of the season. I know he's got, is it 3 or 4 now? But it's certainly out sort of kill the game off. Plymouth knew it was done by then. Their fans had started singing Cleverly Out and sort of like sacked in the morning and stuff like that. So I think sort of their players knew it were done and dusted and they weren't going to come back. And obviously then they get the sort of 3-1, but it's only a consolation goal. I mean, you can see sort of like the players run back, but it was a very half-hearted sort of run back. Oh, we can get back in it. I don't think Town could still be playing now and wouldn't have conceded 2 more goals. I just thought we were too good at the back and a bit of lack of concentration. When you watch the goal back, it gets a bit lucky how it bounces through to the lad. It's a good header, don't get me wrong. Goodman probably could have done better with it, but listen, we're picking at minor negatives here, aren't we? You know, I mean, overall, it was, apart from Leyton Orient, I would say it was the best all-round performance. It's certainly the best 90-minute performance we've had in the last 2 months, 2.5 months. The only thing at the end of the game, and I don't know, Oliver might not sort of see this from his position 4,000 miles away, and Kane, you can maybe give your opinion on this, but obviously it's been a tricky time for the players in Grant. And I just thought at the end of the game, we've won a game, right? That we've won 2 on the spin. I get not sort of over celebrating Tuesday. It was a big game for the club, right? Go and enjoy it with the supporters afterwards. Like, there were a bit of a clap and whatever, and you know, but the majority of that South stand stayed, and they were ready for the whooping and the, you know, and I get the players not wanting to overdo it because, you know, it's only 2 wins and it could be fragile still. But you've got to take these moments and build on it with supporters. And I just would have loved Grant to go over and give it some three fist pumps to the South stand and go, yeah, you know what? My lads performed today. I got it right today. You backed us today. You were fantastic as supporters. You know, I just wanted that bit more of a feeling. But again, it's only minor negatives, and it's just something I just saw after the game that I thought, just whip it up a bit, Lee. Like, you know, it's a massive. There's been massive pressure on this game before you on your head, and you've come out on top, and we've not just won, we've won comfortably. and you've been brave enough and learned in the last 2 games what you can produce with this squad. I said to somebody behind me as we were leaving the ground, when these players play good football, we know we can play good football and we know we can win games. We just haven't been playing good football, and that's why we've had the results that we've had.
To be fair, Steve, I was going to bring this up because I thought the atmosphere in the first half, as they were building for the goal, and I said it on my commentary, it was a case of, if you play like this and like they did in the first half, if you're in the opposition's faces, if you're creating chances, you're getting corners, you're shooting, you're doing all the right things, even if the goal doesn't come, if you're doing all the right things, the fans will back you. I heard lots of singing. Right, bear in mind, don't forget I've got headphones on, and so a lot of my concentration is on what's been said here, what's been said next to me, and that there's a lot of concentration. But when you can hear everything else coming in, you can hear them, you can feel the stadium bounce, and you can see the south stand. Then you can see the opposition, the Kilner Bank, and then a bit of the Riverside. When the players are performing, you get that. And I thought the reaction that they got at the half time was absolutely well deserved, and it was just lovely to hear all the fans up on their feet. And then when players came off as well, Radinho Balca getting an absolutely wonderful standing ovation from everywhere. And it was a case of go out, perform, and they will back you. Fans will back you if you work hard. I mean, I think if Dion Charles would have been taken off, he'd have got a standing ovation from everybody as well. And the fact is, Steve, I don't know if you'll have seen it or heard it, whatever you won't have done, but as we were packing up, the players will have gone round. And as Dion Charles were walking off, the people that were still left in the Riverside stand were singing his name as he walked off.
I was there. I was one of them.
Yeah. And it's like, this is the thing. Like, the players will back you. I know what you're saying, but also they're probably knackered after 2 weeks, and things can easily turn back. But I get what you say, but I thought the atmosphere, especially in that first half and at halftime, was just perfect, and I think the players deserved it as well.
But Bojan got his own chant from the game.
It was amazing, wasn't it? Yeah, I love that. I mean,
he's got the Laurent Depotre chant. The heartbeat chant's come back. I love the heartbeat chant. By the way.
It's still always going to be Laurent Depotre for me. But that again, that was just so lovely to hear, wasn't it? Because it's relating to the players and egging them on wanting to be that. Okay, couple of comments, and then we can have a bit of a roundup of this week, and we can talk about the international break and what we hope happens during that. So, Jed, good morning to you, Jed. Confidence for us all. Where has this come from? Well, good evening from here, Jed, or good afternoon from Oliver, and good morning to you, Jed. Lord says, we won El Sacchio. Nothing heard much about Tom Cleverley yet, but he
That's
seems
a good
to be, he says he needs to change the mentality of his players, so he says in the press conference. Mark says, with Bojan up front, it's reassuring to have someone who can get on the end of crossovers with his head. With May and Taylor, we lacked this and needed that dimension. What a difference Win makes. Bojan worked his socks off. We clicked because everyone put it in. That's all we asked for as Town fans. And Oliver, you can't argue with any of them, can you, really?
No, I mean, just listening to what you both said, because you were both at the game. Sadly, being 8,000 miles away, I don't have that luxury. But I have been in it was John Smith Stadium at the time, or the Accu Stadium now.
Accu, come on now.
Accu now, yeah. Before it was when it was Premier League era, where you have 22,000 people there in the stadium, and it is an intimidating atmosphere for when everyone's chanting and everyone's really making a noise. It is quite. There have been press conferences where it is quite an intimidating atmosphere for the away side because the pitch is quite close to the stands as well. So when it all clicks together, when you get it is an electric stadium, isn't it? Really, when you get all the fans, everyone's chanting, the whole club's going in one direction, and I can imagine it would have been a great thing to see at the end of the game and a bit of a relief off that pressure that I mentioned earlier. Going off three consecutive losses, and now we're hopefully back on the horse now.
Yeah, hopefully we are. So, Steve, anything to round up on this fabulous week that Huddersfield Town have had?
No, it's just been the most positive week probably we've had for 2.5 months. So we rarely go into an international break on the back of positivity, but this one we have. So listen, the players probably are going to get some days off. They're going to be in the training ground working hard, and hopefully we'll have a few bodies back come the next fixture. I think it's unfortunate that when you're on a positive run, you want the next fixture to come quick. But I think in our case, to get some bodies back and to get some players having some much needed recovery, unfortunately not for Radinho Boca, who has to fly about 9 million miles. But it's positive. Let's keep it going. Let's keep the energy high in the training ground. And listen, well done to the players for turning around what has been, or what could have been, well, God knows what would have been like on here after 2 losses, but yeah.
Oliver, anything for you just rounding up on this week?
No, I mean, it's brilliant. It's what's been needed. I know our last podcast last week, we were getting a bit nervy about how Huddersfield are going to do. But yeah, it's what we needed. 2 victories, 2 wins. Away we go in the international break. A little bit more positive.
So Dale says it wasn't just the result on Saturday, but I walked out thinking I really enjoyed that performance, and I haven't said that this season. I was on holiday for the Orient game. Steve, can you relate to that?
Yeah, I can. Yeah, it's the most enjoyable game I've been at the Acu since the Leyton Orient game, and those 2 performances are very few and far between what we've had for quite a while, to be honest. So it was just a nice day, wasn't it? And as Town fans, we're used to not turning up in big fixtures, and I thought this was a big fixture that we needed to come out on the right side of. Not just for us as supporters, but for Grant, for the players, for the team to bond. There's clearly, like we've spoke about with Charles and Bojan, thanking each other after the goals. There's the players are clearly together. I know that some people were thinking that they aren't, and there has been occasions where you think, oh, it could turn, but that what Saturday proved is that they are still ready to fight. And at the end of the day, that's all we can ask for as supporters. As long as they put the work in, they can lose 3-0. But as long as they've had 20 shots on goal, worked the backsides off, and put a real shift in, we'll always forgive them for losing a game or having a bad day at the office. But we can't not forgive not putting effort in. And on Saturday at Mansfield, they put the effort in, and they got what they deserved, which were two very good victories.
Oliver, were you about to chime in there?
Yeah, chime in. Yeah, I was just going to add though that although we mentioned about performances, I mean this was, as we spoke about last week, was a must-win. It definitely was, and we managed to get the result. But it was. Yeah, it's just I don't even want to think about what we would have spoke about had we would have lost against Plymouth going into the international break. But yeah, it was a must-win, wasn't it?
Well, thankfully, Oliver, we don't have to think about it because it didn't happen. Jed says, I have to say hats off to the Plymouth fans. 1,200 of them who made the trip up. We've been there. And he said he's nearly singing Smile a while, I think he means, spring in the step at the start of the week. Okay, international breaks, we're not going to see much. We probably won't be on for a week or 2. But by all accounts, the players have had a few more classroom sessions over the last couple of weeks to get things right. For these 2 games. Oliver, what are you expecting to what would you want the players to be doing over the international break?
As Steve said, enjoy it. Take a little bit of a few days to recuperate and get back on the horse, because the next 3 fixtures, they're all lurking around the playoffs, aren't they? All the teams. So it's going to be a big big couple of weeks of fixtures for us. But yeah, enjoy this next next couple of days, should I say? And maybe a team bonding exercise or whatever, just to kind of get them back on the horse for the next game against, is it Luton? No, Mansfield. Sorry, Mansfield's the next one. But yeah, soak in the victory.
Soak in the 2 victories. Steve, it seems as if Lee Grant was saying in his press conference yesterday that he's hoping to have a couple more players being closer to being back. Anthony Evans and Marcus McGuane he spoke about. So, this is a good chance for international break to get some of these players back.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what Marcus McGuane can bring to this team, to be honest. I think listen, we know what Anthony can do on his days. He can be a really good player. When he's not on it, he's less effective. Sorry. However, it will be good to see him fit again and challenging for the place. But I am excited to see what Marcus can do. He's very, Bristol City fans were a bit perplexed at why they let him go. Clearly a championship player, and he's a big solid unit in the centre of the park. Good at passing, can create things from deep. So let's get him on the pitch. Let's see what he can do and build his minutes up. Get him to have a proper run out. So, like I said, the biggest thing about the international break is that we've gone in positively. There'll be a real good feeling around the training ground and the classroom. I've never seen a manager speak about a classroom so much as what Grant does. But if that's what does it for him and that's what gets us the wins, who cares? As long as we get the victories. So, but as Oliver rightly says, these next 3 fixtures are tough tests. Mansfield, all right, we beat them in the cup, but they'll be a very different team when it comes to the league fixture. Luton away, not going to be easy. They're starting to put some runs together. And obviously Cardiff have been what I think have been the really surprising team under Brian Barry Murphy. Play a very, very specific style of play. But it's working for them. And they're going to be a tough test. We never do well when we travel to Wales. But I'm sure we'll speak about those fixtures in upcoming podcasts, so I won't go into them too much. But yeah, tough games to come up, but let's go into this next 2 week, get some players back. Let's have a really positive 2 week on the training pitch and nobody get injured or get setbacks in their recovery. I don't want to hear any comments about players who were recovering having setbacks. Yes, physio team, I'm looking at you. Right.
He's looking at them. Jed says Charles called up to the Northern Irish squad. A couple of other ones as well. So Owen Goodman has been called up for Canada for the first time. Balka going to Suriname. We've also got Luke Schofield, son of Danny Schofield, who's been called up to the Gibraltar under-19 squad for the first time. So we'll keep an eye out on how all of they do. Hopefully, Radinho will be getting himself to the World Cup, providing they get some good results over the next couple of games. Goodman trying to get himself a spot for the World Cup because Canada are already there. And Dion, of course, will be hoping to continue that good form for Northern Ireland. And good luck to Luke Schofield. Hopefully makes his debut for Gibraltar under-19s. Gents, I think that's pretty much it. We don't want to bore anybody else too long now. We've taken up an hour of their Sunday evening or Sunday morning for Jed, or Sunday afternoon, or is it Monday morning? I don't know, Jed. I really don't know how it all works. I just turn up. If I ever go, I'll turn up and find out what day it is and what time it is anyway. And it's Sunday afternoon for Oliver. Anyway, any final thoughts from you, Oliver?
No, I mean, it's just good to have a few internationals going on. And also, maybe they might be able to bring some experiences back to the team dressing room. But yeah, positive, really happy, and going on to the next 2 weeks. Hopefully, we do well in the international break.
Steve, any final thoughts from you, my friend?
No, I hate international break. So quicker it's over, the quicker it's done, the better. To be honest, Up the town, as Kevin Nagel would sign off with in every video.
Well, you're not Kevin Nagel, so you're not allowed to sign off like that. So it's a good
No,
one.
right,
Signing
okay.
off.
Up the Terriers.
Up the Terriers. That'll do. As always, like, subscribe, share. You know that. Well, whatever I've got to say at the end of these or beginning of these, you know it. We're a little bit less formal than everyone else in the West Yorkshire Football Show, but it's been a Talk Town special. Bojan and Dion, the perfect duo, as Town play Plymouth off the pitch. Gentlemen, have a lovely week. Everybody that's listening, have a good one. We wish you all the best. This week, international break, yeah, it's dull, it's boring, but Town have just had 2 wins in 2 games. And on that one, we can say, this is how we sign off, Steve. We shall see.